Hi, I'm Dan, and welcome back to the Rock Nerd Radio Show here on YouTube. In today's video, we are going to take a very quick look at the new Marvel Legends 2-pack featuring Baron Zemo and Arnim Zola. Let's see what I think about it.
Come geek out with us on the Rock Nerd Radio Show.
So let's kick this review off by looking at these two figures. And if you're saying to yourself, hey Dan, that looks strange, I think you got the wrong pack. I don't have the actual figures in front of me just yet. They're about to be on screen. But this is the old Arnim Zola. He was a Build-A-Figure in the second Return of Marvel Legends wave that Hasbro did. And I wanted to have him out here because we are going to be comparing him to the new Zola that is out. The Zemo that you see here is actually a bit of a kit bash. It is the old Hasbro Zemo head and fur collar that I put on a Dormammu body. I also put the old skirt and belt piece from that Zemo on that Dormammu. I used brown boots. I think these came from Extra Red Skull. And I painted the hands yellow and used that original Toy Biz staff piece. I don't really know what to call this piece as an accessory for him to hold. But I didn't think we were going to get the, Papa Zemo here. So I made this because I never really expected to have another one. I didn't think Hasbro would put out another one. And I am kind of glad that I was proven wrong. But we're going to look at my custom later on. Let's get to the actual box. And this is what it looks like. And you can see here, we are back to window packaging, of course. Zemo here comes with a couple sets of alternate hands. There are 6 hands altogether. He has a sword, and he has this nasty, beat-up looking face. Appropriate. In terms of Zola, he does have the same weapon that the Build-A-Figure has, but this is done in a different color, and he also has that additional extra head camera piece. So we're going to open this up, we're going to look at these, and I'll share some thoughts. So we're going to take a look at Zola first, and this is the same body, like the exact same body that Build-A-Figure came on. In fact, they've released this body, this is the third time. There was a like a copper, yellow, and like green version or something that had more of like a blue computer-looking face in it. It came with that cap and the Hydra armor 2-pack from a couple years ago. I had that one, but I always wanted like a classic Zola, so I eventually got rid of it. But there's not a whole lot to talk about here because this is a figure that's been on my shelf for quite a while. In terms of articulation, the little camera piece is on a, I think I'll say it's a ball joint, but it does move up and down, and the camera piece can swivel. There's a little bit of like wiggle waggle here, but not a lot. In terms of the body, there's no abdomen crunch because the face is there, but it does just rotate nicely. Taking a look at the back, the harness is painted and sculpted very nicely, and you get this nice detail on his little skirt piece. In terms of the arms, they both go all the way around, they both go out, and they are single jointed elbows, but there is rotation at the elbow, and the hands rotate and also, swivel left and right. So, decent amount of movement there. In terms of the legs, they kick out, they kick up, and out. Not super far, but they are double jointed knees, so there's good bend there. There is boot cut, and there is ankle pivot, and some like ankle. It's like a weird swivel here. It rotates more than I think it should, but you can mess around with it and you can get a good, decent pose out of him. I have always liked that the costume has these sleeve parts that kind of hang down, because if he's standing here, it looks like it is a natural sleeve, the way a sleeve would sit. And if you just decide to make the arms kind of straight at his side, you don't really see the piece. So it is a good kind of joint or sculpt done there to make it look like it's, just a natural flow to his clothing. Shirt on a robot? I don't know. In terms of the accessories, you can pop off this head. Obviously, there's a little ball joint here, and you can put this style head camera on. It just snaps on in place, and this is more of a, I'm going to say, modern style head. It sits more flush to like the body armor. As you can see, you don't really see the gap, but I feel like this one doesn't move as nicely. I'm going to keep it on for just a couple more moments while I explain the other accessory, being his little control stick here. And this one, I think the other one is just in gray, but this is a nice like pinkish color with 3 different color buttons, and it just goes in his hand like this. So, this is how he controls his experiments. If I were to bring up the old Zola, we would have these two standing here. And yeah, this one, the control piece here, it's just gray. It's all molded gray. There's no other buttons to it. The only other big differences that I'm seeing on this is the orange on this one's body seems to be a little brighter, and the legs are a different shade of orange. They are here too, but it's not as noticeable. This, I feel like there's a sharp contrast there. The boots all have the same decoration. The little skirt pieces do. Belts are painted. The heads, if I had the actual head on there, that matches. Very similar. Missing the gray detail on this one, but the bodies, we'll get to the faces in a second. The bodies are, just about the same. The only other paint difference I'm noticing on the arms is that he has these yellow bands painted, where his bands are not painted. They are just purple. So the other thing I want to point out is the face on the chest. They are different, as you can clearly see. I honestly think I like this face a little more. I wasn't looking to rebuy Zola. I'm going to be honest about that. But do I really need another one? I don't think so. I don't know. I'm probably just going to keep holding on to this one. Like, after all this time, his joints aren't floppy. He still, holds together very well. I don't know that I necessarily need another Zola on my shelf. So I'll kind of figure out what I'm doing from there. I do like the brightness of this one's orange, but there's just something about it that, I don't know. It's not sitting right with me on this figure. In theory, I could leave that other head that I just swapped off on, and I could put one on like a Captain America shelf and one on a Hydra shelf, and there, now I have two Zolas hanging out. But I think this is really the one I still like. This face might be a little more comic accurate, although it's a computer face. I'm sure it can change at a whim. But this is still this one looks a little more serious. This one, he almost looks like he's surprised. Like Captain America just walked in on him and he was like, oh, hey, Cap. So we'll talk about that. Let's take a look at Zemo. Before we even take much of a look at Zemo here, I do want to make mention that this is Heinrich Zemo and not Helmut. This is the father Zemo. This was the one who would have been alive during World War II, fighting Captain America. And there are some things I like on this figure already, namely that the skirt piece here can move with the body, or you can keep it still. So you do have some nice displayability. With the belt, I would assume it is kind of moving with the character, so that is really nice. We're going to take a look at the articulation straight out of the bat, but I really like this head sculpt. The hood looks cool. That looks fantastic, and I like the collar. It is not glued on, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But the arms, I'm sorry, let's start at the head. It is a ball joint, but the hood kind of does impede a little bit of the movement. Not a whole lot. Like, the hood can still get around quite a bit, which is nice. In terms of the body, you already saw that it swivels at the waist, and there is ab crunch. The belt it might be part of the body. I don't think the belt really gets in the way. I don't think this crunches too deeply. Arms go all the way around and out. We do have full rotation here. Double jointed pinless elbows. Always something that I point out, but it doesn't add to the articulation necessarily. One thing about the pinless elbow on this body is that sometimes it kind of leaves the elbow looking a little disjointed. So not always the best. I don't think that would matter if it was pinned or pinless, but this arm style sometimes looks a little weird. The hands have rotation. These particular hands that are in here do go up and down as opposed to left and right. The other hands that he comes with are your traditional left to right swivel. Legs kick up, and the skirt really doesn't get in the way. Like, you can really put both legs up because it's cut deeply, which is nice. They also kick out. Man, he can get a pretty decent split in there. Rotation up here at the leg. Double jointed knee. Again, it is pinless. I'm going to try to, there we go, get both without breaking any joints. The knee doesn't look as bad. I think that looks pretty decent. There is boot cut, which makes the fur turn with it. We do have ankle pivot, and of course we can go back and forth with our ankles. Joints are very tight on mine, but I haven't really moved them too much yet, so that is probably why. Zemo looks fantastic. Let's talk about his accessories. The first one I want to talk about is this extra head, which is like the scarred after getting adhesive X and removing his mask face. In order to take it off, obviously, you're just going to pop off the this one, and you can see the ball joint is pretty deep down there, so that's why it sits so well. And the head just goes, it should just go right on. There we go. Takes a bit of forcing down, but if you don't want to leave the collar on, you can take it off. I do like the collar, so he's going to leave it on. Probably not going to display him with this head, but if you want that option, it is nice. I do remember back in the Toy Biz days when they gave us a Heinrich Zemo, that there was a variant that had this head and one that had the hooded head, and I never liked that I had to buy two if I wanted to have different head options. So I'd always end up buying one, but I like that, Hasbro these days gives us the different head options. But going along to his other accessories, there is a sword. I want to say this is the sword we've gotten with every Zemo figure that we've ever gotten, and it just goes in his hands. And you're before you say like, hey Dan, that's a trigger hand, I know, we're going to talk about that in a moment. The other accessory that he has that he can hold is a pistol that also works really well in that trigger hand. So there we go. You can even loop the finger into the trigger hole there, which is nice. No holster for the pistol, so he would just kind of be holding both accessories like this, or however you want him to hold them. The other hand options that he comes with, he does have a left and a right like gripping hand, but these are going to be too big for that sword and that pistol. This is if you have him holding something like a cosmic cube, or like trying to do like the victory death to Captain America type pose, something like that. And then there are two fists, good for throwing some punches down with people like Captain America. But I really like this Zemo so far. I'm gonna put his hood back on, and we're gonna compare him with a few other figures. Before we even look at another figure though, I just want to point it out because I realized it as I was doing it. This crown piece on the hood is not glued on. It does move. You can pop it off, but then you're left with a very weird, you know what, there's a shape there. I probably shouldn't make a joke about that, but so I'm going to leave the crown on. It does come off if you really want to do that. But the first comparison is going to be with the custom Zemo that I made. Boots match up. I am impressed that I use brown boots. They use brown boots, a little darker on the brown. I didn't have the fur on the boots. I'm impressed that I managed to do the belt. I thought that was a nice touch on mine. Fur collar, nice. This head is a lot redder than this hood. This is definitely a pinkish, dark pink, almost purple color. This is more of a red color, and the eyes are a little more, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, there. You can really see them. There's not just like the little white dots there. The gloves are a big change. I went with yellow. They went with just white. But I'm kind of impressed at how my custom came along. Part of me wants to have the new Zemo hold this weapon, or this little staff thing. Not that it's like really a weapon, but we'll see. I might just have my Zemo hold on to this one and just kind of go from there, because I'm not going to sit here and act like it was like the hardest custom ever that I ever had to do, but I did put a little love into this one, and I really was happy with it. So we're going to keep them there. I'm going to bring in a few more characters, namely the Walgreens Helmut, and man, that looks great together. That you could like tell that is like a family going down the line there. I think all those Zemos look really well together. And because it's who he would fight, here is Captain America, and this is of course the 20th anniversary Marvel Legends Captain America, so they look pretty darn good together too. I really like that cap. I just wish he didn't have the holes in his shield. And just to bring in Zola from the set, here is Zola as well. So there we go, he's right next to Zemo. If I wanted to bring in the old Zola, hey look, here's the old Zola too. Just knocking people over. Just bringing in all the characters whose names start with Z apparently today. So it's getting a little crowded here. I'm going to clear this out for just a moment to share some final thoughts on this set. So there we go, a quick look at this 2-pack of Captain America characters. And I gotta say, the Zemo kind of knocks it out of the park. If they were going to give us a new Baron Zemo, the elderly Heinrich Zemo, then I think this is just a great way to go for it. Love the color of the suit, love the choices of the fur decorations, love the hands, the hood, the accessories he comes with, alternate hands, alternate head, really just like almost a like a solid 9 out of 10 I would give that figure if I was grading it. The Zola is a disappointment to me. This is just a rehash of a figure that I've had in my collection for a long time. Great for people who never had that old Build-A-Figure Zola, who wanted a Zola in their collection. Great, you got one. I'm happy for you. I didn't need it. Probably not even going to be the one that I leave on my display, even though I do like his more colorful painted accessory. But overall, it's a pretty solid set. You know, the Zola's not bad, even though I already have him. And as I said, I really like the Zemo. So, you know, really thinking about it, I'd probably give this set like a 7 out of 10 because the Zemo's really selling it for me. And I like my Captain America bad guys. So that is like a quintessential character that I want on my shelf. As I said, Zola, he's cool, good for people who don't have it. My personal display ability, I'm probably not going to put him on display, but that's just me. So really a solid set. It is an Amazon exclusive, so grab it there if you were looking for it. I'm sure other e-tailers have it. And who knows, maybe if you wait a little bit, I don't think it's sold out. It might come down in price. I wasn't going to play chicken with this one. I really wanted Zemo and Zola. So let me know your thoughts about this set in the comments below. Do you plan on picking it up? Do you not care about these characters? Do you have the old Zola and you don't want this Zemo? Let me know. I would love to hear any combination of thoughts and matching up these characters that you might want to say. But until next time, I've been Dan. You've been pretty awesome. I'll see you around. Thanks for tuning in. Well, there we go. What did you think of this video? Sound off in the comments below. I would love to hear from you. Remember, we are making a push to get to 700 subscribers here on the channel. If we do that before the HasLab Giant Man arrives, I will be giving away the old Toy Biz Giant Man Build-A-Figure that you've seen on my shelf and things like that. So hit subscribe, leave a comment, hit like if you're so inclined, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in.
Come geek